I also want to point out that we have the honor of having somebody from Phoenix, Arizona right here in the midst of our state. Someone who is a crime fighter, someone who was a mayor of the city of Phoenix for a very long time, and who now is the finest Attorney General of the United States of America, and that's my friend Terry Goddard, President of the Council of the Attorney General. And last but not least, my wife, Hope, who has joined us. If you will stand, I would like to just introduce my wife. Sometimes these jobs in the U.S. Senate are tough in large part because it's almost like having two jobs. Don Elliman, I saw you here. Where are you, Don? You work for the governor now, and you see how hard the governor works. I've been with the governor a lot the last couple of days. I tell him he has a piece of cake job because he gets to go home every night. When you have your job as people are watching you vote, as Al was saying, every day, your job from home last year was 201 days that we were in Washington, D.C. And the rest of the time, when I'm back here in Colorado, I love to visit 64 counties of my state. But it basically means you do the 100-hour plus weeks, and you just do it day after day after day. So the person who puts up with all that and who makes sure that the family continues to stay together and survive so well is my wonderful and loving wife, Hope. So give her a round of applause. I want to say just two quick words, one about Colorado and one about the convention. First, it is wonderful just to be the United States Senator for Colorado because there's so many things about this state to make this state great. There's so much more that we're going to be able to do. Think about places like Rocky Mountain National Park and making it a wilderness area. Think about our initiatives moving forward at Fitzsimmons and Stapleton, a 27 square mile crown jewel of open space, a wildlife refuge at the Rocky Mountain Arsenal. I look at what we've done with Rocky Flats, the 6,000 acre former Rocky Flats nuclear trigger site up near Boulder, the crown jewel of open space for that area. Think about what we've done to harness the power of the sun and the wind and biofuels in the state just in the last 3 years. Excel just this last week announced they were going to build a 200 megawatt solar power plant in the San Luis Valley, and they were going to build an additional 800 megawatts of wind power here in Colorado. So Colorado is on the move, and one of the things that this convention really has done for us, and will do for all of us, is it's putting the spotlight, the eyes of the entire world are on the greatness of this state. And I think Al's comments were exactly right, that it's an easy sell for us who believe that business is good and we need to support good business because without good business, you don't have good jobs, and without jobs, you can't have a quality of life for the people that we represent. And so this is an opportunity for us to have hundreds of millions of people from all around the world watch the greatness of Colorado. So from an economic development point of view, Don Elliman, this is a present to you as the Director of Economic Development for Colorado. Thank you very much. Second of all, I just want to comment on this convention and our time. We are going through some difficult times in our world. You know what those difficult times are. And I believe passionately in the bottom of my heart that we can do better as Americans. You who have heard me talk sometimes about the history of my family and the 12 generations that have lived in New Mexico and Colorado, they lived in some very difficult and troubling times, eking out a living from places where it was very difficult, it was very cold, and it was always a struggle. Some of you have heard the story of my grandmother and the loss of her 5 children before those children reached the age of 5. And notwithstanding those difficult times, had a very proud father who served our country in World War II, a mother who at the age of 19 was working in the War Department in Washington, D.C. And through their teachings, what they taught us is that really the American dream was about making sure that no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, that anything was possible. And though they themselves had never gone to college, graduated from college, all 8 of their children became first-generation college graduates. And they gave us that sense that anything was possible here in America. And so, too, when I look at someone like Barack Obama, I see so much of the American dream in him. Here was a young person born to a single mother, Kansas, who knew about his grandfather's service in Patton's Army in World War II, father, who had come over from Kenya because he saw the freedom and opportunity here in America, a son of America who had a troubled life, as Barack did as a young man in his early years. And yet somehow he climbed that ladder that we know, the ladder of the American dream. And as he got up that ladder, even as he graduated from Harvard Law School and was a member of the Harvard Law Review, he nonetheless remembered that the most important thing that he could do was to serve people. And so he chose to go to the south side of the city of Chicago and to say that he was going to help those people who were unemployed, those who were the most vulnerable in his community. And so I think that as people make this choice this November, the most important thing that we need to look at is what's in his heart and what is he going to fight for. And I believe that given his values, combined with those values of Joe Biden, who also has been tested in so many ways with the loss of his wife and his daughter in that terrible crash now almost 30 years ago, that you see a team that can frankly get America back on the American dream. And from my point of view, it's going to require three significant challenges that must be addressed immediately, and they can be addressed immediately. And that's putting our world back together in terms of foreign policy so America's greatness is restored again across the world. Secondly, that we embrace the new energy frontier of America with the same kind of dedication and aggressiveness that put a man on the moon. And that thirdly, we can address other huge issues that are economically creating problems for both the business community as well as for our 300 million Americans, issues such as healthcare and access to higher education and fixing our educational system. So that's why this election for me is so important. I spent some time this morning with Senator Clinton. I did an event together where we spoke. And she spoke about how this was not an election about Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama. Those are just names. Those are standard bearers. But what is really at stake is how we fundamentally address these huge challenges of the 21st century and how we unite Americans again. You know, some of you, I have told this personally in terms of my own personal relationship with President Bush. I respect the man. Hope and I had dinner at the residence in the White House with him and Laura now a couple of years ago, and had a wonderful time with them. But the fact of the matter is that the politics of the last 7 years have not been good for America. The leadership has not been good. We have taken the politics of Karl Rove and George Bush, made those politics the reality of this country. And that kind of division has not been good for this country. We need to unite ourselves as Democrats, as independents, and as Republicans to address all of those issues that I talked about. No matter how tough they are, I know that we can do it. Because when I look at the generation that came before me, that generation that came before me was able to stand up an economy that has fallen flat on its face during the Great Depression. That generation that came before me was able to stand up against the Nazis and the fascists and make sure that America became the beacon of hope and freedom and opportunity for the entire world. And if that generation could do it then, I am certain that we accept the baton on this new challenge that we have in November with the new administration, and that America will restore its greatness once again. Thank you all.